Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the middlemen situation that's currently going on with PSA and I guess broader grading in general. I have historically utilized middlemen grading services and I've historically talked about them on my channel, so I felt that it was necessary of me to make a video talking about my business, how I run it, why I used middlemen in the past, and then my path forward with them given the new information. I'm going to do my best to break up this video into a few parts. One, history of how and why middlemen grading came about and why it made sense for both PSA, the submitters, and the middlemen themselves. And then two, talk a little bit about, I'm going to try to not get into speculation, drama, all the mudslinging that's going on right now between the two companies. But yeah, then I'm going to break out. The third part is just going to be, what does this all mean? What am I going to do moving ahead? So part one, a little bit of a backstory. I used middlemen largely starting in 2020, primarily for time and money. I mean, the two most important aspects of any business in many respects. So 2020 was a busy year for me personally. 2020, I was doing this on the side. Many cards became gradable that weren't prior. And in 2020, I chucked out over 10,000 cards between PSA and CGC. Well over 10,000 cards. Using a middleman allowed me to get these out at all. I mean, had I had to physically enter those cards myself, there's no way I would have gotten nearly as many out. So reason one that I had used them, and reason one that some people would use them historically, was just a matter of time. Not wanting to go through the tedious process of dealing with PSA or CGC or BGS, whatever entry system you're looking at. And two was cost. I think a lot of people don't really know this and don't really understand it, but I was able to submit at such a volume that I was able to undercut my direct price through PSA, being a Collectors Club member. And that's another thing with middlemen. Generally speaking, you wouldn't have to pay a membership fee. And though some smaller submitters would have to pay more than the sticker price of PSA, one, they didn't have to pay the membership fee. Two, they didn't have to hit all the minimum. So PSA might have had a bulk tier where you had to have 50 cards sent in. Somebody might be able to send in 10 cards, 5 cards, 20 cards, not having to meet the minimum. So there were many benefits, many reasons why people would do it. Me further, given my volume, I actually submitted multiple orders sending so many cards. I would submit them in penny sleeves, in just a cardboard box, and I would save the card saver cost. A lot of people might think, well, what are card savers? 5 or 10 cents a piece, not a big deal. In 2020, it was a bigger deal. They were almost $1 a piece during certain times. They were very, very hard to find. Maybe not $1, maybe that's overshooting it, but 25 cents, 50 cents a piece. And then just, again, a time thing, being able to send out 1,000 cards at a time, 500 cards at a time, and then just have someone else do the work of entry. So that was how and why I used them. Some people might hear that, and I've heard a lot of people with this take, well, that seems too good to be true. How can you pay later, pay less? How does it make sense? How would a middleman make money? Very, very obvious if you're deeply involved in any kind of business that has to do customer service or deal with the general public. It's an expensive thing to do. And PSA was able to effectively push off a lot of the customer service onto the middleman, if not all of it. There's a large benefit right there for PSA. Another aspect, imagine this scenario. Submitting through a middleman, a lot of times they would lot orders together and they would ship them all at once. Generally speaking, with PSA, it was around 500 cards each. I believe that was their limit. I submitted multiple 500 card submissions myself through a middleman, and those would go on a devoted order for me. But there would be scenarios where 50 people might submit 10 each, and those all go into one order. Imagine on PSA's end, would you rather, to receive 10,000 cards, would you rather receive 20 packages of 500, or would you rather receive 200 packages of 50 each? Which one is going to take more time and labor out of your employees? Which one is going to be more customer service? 10,000 cards in 20 packages through a middleman, all the same person that you're dealing with, all the same entity, knowing that they're going to be in the proper order, knowing that they're going to be in card savers and not top loaders, knowing they're going to be packed professionally in boxes and not shipped in cereal boxes or some random Amazon packages with bad packaging, cards scattered all about. So big benefit for the submitter through the reasons that I said that benefited me. Big benefit for the middleman because clearly they were making a margin. They were able to submit in such volume, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cards, that PSA gave them a contractual rate, a lower rate, due to their burden being lessened on their end. Win-win-win in the ideal scenarios. And for a long time, it actually worked fairly well. I know, again, I'm going to try to stay away from the speculation and all that best I can, but objective fact, I've heard this from multiple middlemen. They used to have a tier called, again, the exact terminology I don't remember, but bulk tiers, preferred bulk, preferred. They had preferred levels that were intended to be quicker. That ended up not panning out. I mean, I guess I'll leave that open to interpretation. If a grading company and a middleman company use the terminology of a preferred tier with a similar name to PSA, it would be reasonable to think that that would actually be preferred to the direct tier and maybe have quicker turnaround times. That didn't end up panning out. So communication breakdown there. However that happened, it happened. But yeah, that's kind of the background on why someone might use a middleman company. Now we can get into the scenario going on right now. One very important disclaimer, not really disclaimer, but just a bit of information. Ludkins UK, all this press release from PSA UK, what was formerly PSA UK, Ludkins Collectibles, they are not Ludkins US. They are two distinctly different companies. And some of the confusion, again, not getting too in depth, but direct communication between the general public. I verified this. I direct messaged on Instagram a higher up at a grading company, and they replied to me regarding Ludkins orders. Ludkins US, Ludkins UK, not specified. But for a company to address the general public in DMs about a company that is listed on its website as a middleman, acting on behalf, like once you give, as PSA, once you give Ludkins Collectibles your name to use, and this was only a few months ago, you're responsible for what happens when they're acting for you. I mean, I don't know the exact legalese of the relationship, but when someone's operating with your name, under your direction, listed on your website as an official partner, middleman, whatever, it's on you what results from that. So yeah, not getting too in depth, but a lot of confusion about all that. PSA has come out with a statement saying there hasn't been payment, saying that things weren't met. Ludkins has come out with a statement countering some of those claims, saying that all is not as it seems. It's a he said, she said scenario, very reminiscent of PWCC and eBay's breakup from about a year ago now. Similar to that, I think it's a very analogous situation. I think that, unfortunately, we will likely never know all that's happened. In that scenario, PWCC and eBay, I mean, PWCC claims they don't even fully know what happened. eBay claims that certain things were happening. Likely, neither is completely innocent. Neither is completely telling the full truth. Similar here, and we'll likely never know. So at the end of the day, this will transition me into the third part. Certain things are going on. If you're affected, if you have submitted through Ludkins UK, there is a form out there. PSA is going to do what they can do to get the cards back to you. I do believe that if you submitted, your cards are likely not lost. You will likely get your cards someday. When that day is, I have no idea. Check on PSA's website. I believe there's a form you should fill out. That's Ludkins UK, not Ludkins US. I personally have 3 orders out from late 2020, early 2021, about 1,150 cards total through Ludkins US. And as of today, as of the time I record this, I mean, they're very, very late. It's been nearly 2 years now, but there's no indication that there's any forms needed to be filled out. There's no communication from either company that there's any further action required. They'll come back when they come back, as has been the story. So yeah, if and when that changes, I'll make another video talking about it. But at this point, I mean, you can get really upset and you can throw a fit, and it's not going to change anything. It's not going to get your cards back quicker. Hopefully I'll get my cards back in the next couple months before they hit a full 2 years, but that's where we're at right now. Moving ahead though, what am I going to do with all this information? What would I yeah, I guess not what I don't make recommendations. I just say what I'm doing and why. So what I'm doing and why. I haven't submitted to a middleman in probably 5 months now, and I don't intend to anytime soon. Could I in the future? 6 months out, 2 years out, 5 years out? Absolutely. If and when I get new information that changes, like what's going on, if the new future dynamic is in a good spot, I may. But I think a large part of these failures, again, another objective fact, PSA built a backlog of over 10 million cards. They were transitioning from a public company to a private company. Maybe their hands were tied. I've given them that bit of leeway. Maybe something was going on to where they couldn't help but have that happen. But a big part of me thinks that in a future world and in a past world, 10 million card backlog aside, I think middlemen would still be operating functionally and well, efficiently, had a 10 million card backlog not grown. Pandemic and all that, further adding complicating factors. So, yeah, as of today, I'm submitting everything directly. I do this full time now. In 2020, I didn't. In early 2021, I didn't. So, thankfully, my scenario has changed to where I have the ability now to submit for myself directly. Some people internationally, I feel for you. It's so much tougher of a situation. That's actually one factor that I didn't touch on earlier. But what Ludkins UK was doing, shipping overseas, ensuring that VAT, customs, all those things were filled out and not charged improperly, that's a complicated process. And I don't have a good recommendation for anyone international. But anyone domestic, I would recommend, at least for the time being until things get sorted out, at least what I'm doing for myself, submit directly. If and when PSA gets everyone's cards back through Ludkins UK, gets everyone's cards back. I mean, Mark's cards was another thing in the sports world. If and when every Ludkins US order comes back, and if and when we get to where they have complete through dates, if and when we get to where the longest turnaround time, I mean, $18 and $15 grading card specials from earlier this year, mid this year, late this year, they're looking good. Everything submitted directly through PSA is looking good at this moment. So that's where I'm going to stick with for now. And then if and when the landscape changes, if and when I feel like I might have a couple hundred cards a month to submit through a middleman, maybe they're more complex ones, maybe they're non-Pokemon, maybe they're Japanese ones that just take a long time to enter, I can see a value proposition in submitting to middlemen in the future. Just in these uncertain times right now, I'm going to stick with submitting directly. And yeah, I think that covers everything I wanted to hit on. It's an unfortunate situation, but all the dramatic videos, all the mudslinging, all this stuff going on, I just wish, I wish people would calm down a little bit. I mean, so many people aren't even affected. So many people not even affected. Just, I guess it's the human condition to just love getting wrapped up in these dramatic scenarios. And I'm actually affected, and I've just been calm about it the whole time. That's all. Me emailing them every other day, me hitting, like, it doesn't get the cards back faster. If anything, it gets them back slower, because every minute that these people are answering emails, they're not packing up orders. Yeah, it is what it is. That's all I've really got to say. Let me know in the comments, are you affected by PSA UK? Do you have orders out still through Ludkins US? Do you have orders? I know James over at Graded Gem, he's supposed to be wrapping up the next couple of weeks. That's good on that end to hear that. We'll see where we go from here. Hopefully those 1,150 cards get back to me in time for the holiday season. If not, whenever they get back, I'll pay for my orders, and I will get them listed, turn them around, and look on to the future. 2020 was a wild time, and we're still dealing with some of the consequences, but business is still good. I appreciate you all listening. I hope this provided some kind of value. I'm not sure that it entirely did, but yeah, exciting things this week. I'm going to do a live stream Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not sure yet. $23,000 collection. I bought a $23,000 Pokemon card collection. If you watch those videos from the past couple weeks, I bought a $25,000 non-Pokemon collection of 41 binders, about 17,000 cards. Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh, Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, Weiss, Vanguard, Buddy Fight, all these different IPs. I can't wait to go through them. Multiple live streams, multiple videos standalone, multiple spreadsheets. It's going to be a fun one. So all this negativity for these first 15 minutes, talking a little bit about the positivity, going through this collection, directly submitting for grading to BGS, to CGC, to PSA, moving ahead, at least for the short term. So, yeah, with that, that's all I've got. I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you all later.